The Legend of Jigong Chapter 68.
But first, let's look at our two protagonists, Li Ming and Chen Liang. They are formidable, they are highly observant, and they are navigating a geography that just feels incredibly lived in.
Very grounded.
Yeah, like they have just gotten directions from an old man. They're heading north past the Ditayu grain store and turning east into Old Qinglong Street. And just those mundane details, the specific grain store, the cardinal directions, it anchors everything that is about to happen in a deeply ordinary physical space.
Right. It really makes the city feel like a breathing economic entity, one that's driven by commerce and, frankly, extreme disparities in wealth.
Right.
And the inclusion of those landmarks, it serves a really vital narrative function.
Right.
It establishes that this is not some ethereal mythological realm. This is a pragmatic urban environment.
It's gritty.
Exactly. The grain store represents the baseline of survival for the common people, which contrasts sharply with the opulent compound our heroes are about to encounter. The geography essentially dictates the social order.
That social order just smacks them right in the face as they walk down Old Qinglong Street. They spot this massive, imposing compound belonging to the Zhao family. And the text highlights these grand Guanglian gates.
Oh, yes.
I'm assuming the architecture of the gate itself is essentially like a massive billboard broadcasting the family's status to everyone walking by, right?
Hold on. So a Guanglian gate translates literally to a wide and bright gate. And in traditional Chinese architecture, it was a heavily regulated indicator of social standing.
Regulated, like by law.
Yes. By sumptuary laws, you could not simply build a grand gate just because you had the money. The style, the width, the roof pitch, and even the specific bracket sets were strictly governed based on your rank.
Wow, so you couldn't just fake it.
Right. A Guanglian gate signifies a family of significant means, likely high-ranking officials or incredibly wealthy merchants. It is specifically designed to project immense power outward onto the street, creating this physical and psychological barrier between the elite and the commoners.
It is a massive architectural flex. And just outside these huge gates, flanking the entrance, are two dragon claw scholar trees. And hanging directly above the door is this beautifully carved, noble plaque that reads, "Joyful in charity, generous in giving."
Which is a very public declaration of their moral standing. They are claiming this philanthropic role in the community, projecting an image of pure Confucian virtue.
Like, look at us, we're the good guys, we help the poor. But one of our heroes, Chen Liang, he takes one look at this compound, glances right past that philanthropic plaque, and instantly recognizes a completely different hidden reality. He knows, literally just by looking, that this compound is protected by what the text calls Negua.
Right, and the text actually pauses the narrative specifically to define this concept, highlighting just how crucial it is to navigating this world.
Because it's a secret language, right?
Yes, Negua is identified as black talk. It's the secret jargon or argot used by the Greenwood, the criminal underworld, and the martial arts society known as the Jianghu.
So Negua translates to black talk. I'm assuming this is like thieves' cant, like a coded language used by criminals to discuss illegal activities without the city guards catching on.
It's close to that, but it is actually highly structural and spatial. So in this specific secret vocabulary, Negua refers to hired bodyguards, professional escorts, or armed retainers who are working securely within a private compound.
Oh, I see.
And the text contrasts this directly with xinghua, which is the slang term for street performers, acrobats, or traveling martial artists who basically make their living in the open, vulnerable public spaces.
Okay, so Ne versus Xing.
Exactly. Ne implies internal, shielded, and permanent, while Xing implies moving, external, and exposed.
That is so fascinating. It's like a billionaire putting a cozy, friendly neighborhood watch sign on their manicured lawn, but the specific font they use, or maybe a tiny symbol in the corner of the sign, secretly signals to the entire criminal underworld, hey, do not mess with us. We have a private, heavily armed, highly trained militia inside.
That's a perfect analogy. The joyful and charity plaque is strictly for the ordinary citizens, the polite society. It maintains the Zhao family's public face.
Yeah.
But the subtle sign...
Like what kind of signs?
Well, perhaps the specific posture of the men standing near the gates, or the placement of those dragon claw trees, or even subtle modifications to how the Guanglian gates are secured. These broadcast a completely different message to a completely different audience. It broadcasts Negua to the Jianghu.
But why do they even need this secondary secret language? Like, if you have guards, why not just put them out front in uniform?
Because the Jianghu, which literally translates to rivers and lakes, operates entirely outside the boundaries of official imperial law. It is a parallel society.
A shadow ecosystem.
Exactly. It has its own economy, its own lethal justice system, and its own mortal perils. So when you are operating in a world where a misunderstood glance can lead to a duel to the death, or where rival factions are constantly probing your defenses for a night raid, you need a way to communicate dense, vital information quickly and exclusively to your in-group.
That makes sense.
You definitely don't want the local magistrate knowing you have a private army, but you absolutely want the local bandit king to know it.
So by identifying the Negua, Chen Liang is basically reading the matrix of the city. He is seeing the invisible lines of force and violence that actually govern the streets, hidden right behind this shiny facade of philanthropy.
It really reveals the profound dual reality of ancient urban life. There is the sunlit, polite world of the wealthy, and there's the perilous, hidden world of the Jiangku, where power is measured exclusively in martial skill and hired blades.
Right.
The mere fact that the Zhao family requires Negua proves that their wealth makes them a constant target, and their charity is simply not enough to protect them from the harsh realities of the underworld.
And to really drive home how immense this wealth is, Lei Ming and Chen Liang decide to do a little daytime reconnaissance.
Right, they want to scope it out.
Yeah, so they walk east, they find this small alleyway heading north, and they use it to get a vantage point. And the text gives us this brilliant spatial detail. Chen Liang looks at the alley and notes that it is so incredibly narrow, if a fat person came from the opposite direction, you physically could not squeeze past them.
It's a wonderful architectural detail. It emphasizes the cramped, claustrophobic, and chaotic nature of the public city streets, which of course forces the people into close, uncomfortable proximity.
Right.
And that contrasts violently with what the heroes are about to see over the wall.
Oh yeah, they use this tiny, suffocating alley to look over the western wall into the Zhao family's private garden. And the sensory tour the text provides is just staggering. Hidden from the dusty, cramped street, there are rockeries, like intricate artificial mountains built from ornamental stone. There is an actual crescent-shaped river flowing through the private property.
Which is huge. Possessing a private flowing river in a dense urban environment requires advanced water management, significant land ownership, and immense capital. It is an incredible luxury.
You see a peony pavilion, a rose trellis, miniature boats floating on the water, and the Lu Fang Pavilion, which implies a place designed solely to retain fragrance or beauty.
Right.
Plus, a snow viewing pavilion built specifically for appreciating winter landscapes in absolute comfort. But the detail that really stopped me in my tracks, the text explicitly says they have flowers that bloom in all 4 seasons and grass that stays green through all 8 solar terms.
That specific phrasing regarding the flora is highly significant because in a pre-modern agrarian society, nature dictates everything.
Right, you're at the mercy of the weather.
Exactly. Winter brings death, scarcity, and barrenness. Spring brings rebirth and labor. To possess a garden where flowers bloom in all 4 seasons is to possess the resources to artificially conquer nature itself.
Wow.
It requires dedicated horticulturists, specific microclimates, massive amounts of imported soil, early forms of greenhouses, and just endless invisible labor.
It is the ultimate display of dominance over the natural world. While the people outside the wall in that narrow alley are freezing, starving, or sweltering based entirely on the season, the Zhao family lives in this eternal, manufactured paradise.
It's a striking juxtaposition. Consider the perspective of our heroes. Lei Ming and Chen Liang are standing in an alley so narrow 2 people can barely pass, looking over a brick wall into an artificial universe of endless space, flowing rivers, and eternal spring.
It's like 2 different planets.
Yes. The physical boundary of the wall separates 2 entirely different realities of human existence. And, furthermore, they use this view tactically. They aren't just admiring the peonies here.
Right, they see maidservants carrying small baskets, coming down from a 3-story building to pick flowers, and then going back up. And through the bamboo blinds, they deduce that the young women of the house, whether daughters or young wives, live in that specific building. So they are basically mapping the compound based on domestic labor.
The analytical mind of the Jianggu operator at work. Maidservants mean the inner sanctum is nearby. Where the young women are housed is typically the deepest, most socially restricted, and heavily guarded area of the estate. They are identifying the structural heart of the compound.
But they decide it's way too risky to push their luck during the day, so they make a tactical retreat. But as they exit that claustrophobic alleyway and step back out into the broad daylight of Old Singlong Street, the stark contrast to the city hits them again.
It's a harsh return to reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right in front of the grand, joyful, in charity gates of the Zhao mansion, a massive crowd has suddenly gathered. Chen Lang pushes through the onlookers, and we are introduced to the inciting incident of the entire narrative.
So we transition instantaneously from the tranquil, eternal spring of the billionaire's hidden garden to a tableau of profound grief and poverty.
Sitting on the dirt ground is a young woman, Luang Shi, and the text goes out of its way to describe her mourning attire in meticulous detail.
Every piece of it matters.
She has white cloth wrapped tightly around her head. She's wearing a full mourning dress of rough, unbleached hemp. Her hair is tied in a rough hemp braid, and even her shoes are covered in stark white cloth.
Which tells a very specific story. The visual language of grief in traditional Chinese culture is incredibly codified. White and raw hemp are the textures and colors of death, contrasting directly with the red of joy and life.
So it's instantly recognizable.
Instantly. And the physical discomfort of the unbleached hemp is part of the ritual. You are meant to suffer physically alongside the deceased. So by wearing this full head-to-toe regalia on a public street, Luang Shi is broadcasting her tragedy. In a society lacking a robust, formalized state safety net for sudden catastrophic loss, your grief must be highly visible.
It has to be a performance.
Yes, it must be a public performance in order to solicit the communal aid necessary for your family's survival.
And it is a deeply desperate performance. Beside her stands an older neighbor, and spread out on the ground in front of them is a sheet of paper. It is a written public plea for help. And the anatomy of this plea is incredibly intricate.
Very detailed.
It doesn't just say, need money for food. It starts by addressing the gentleman from all four directions. It gives her exact address, west end of Old Singlong Street, north side.
Which proves she's a local.
Right. It details the exact timeline of the tragedy. Her family was already destitute. Her mother-in-law became deeply anxious over their poverty. Her old illness flared up. Medicine failed, and she died yesterday, precisely at the Shen hour.
The Shen hour corresponds roughly to 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And you have to notice the immense precision of the document. The exact address, the precise earthly branch of the hour of death. This is designed to establish unimpeachable credibility.
Because people might assume it's a scam.
Exactly. In an environment where scams are rampant, ambiguity is suspicious. Specificity is the currency of truth.
That makes total sense. And the plea goes on to explain that her husband, who usually runs a small business, is currently afflicted with a severe, paralyzing ulcer and cannot move. So she is the only able-bodied person left.
A truly dire situation.
With the mother-in-law dead, they have absolutely no money for burial clothes or a coffin. They don't even have overnight grain, meaning they have zero food for tomorrow. They have pawned everything they own.
They've hit rock bottom.
And then the plea ends by begging the benevolent gentleman to show compassion, literally citing historical precedents. It says, since ancient times, there has been the help of the wheat boat and the friendship of removing carriage horses, and this holds true today.
The invocation of classical idioms elevates the document from a simple plea to a complex moral argument.
But I have to pause here because the logistics of this really stand out to me. This family is literally starving to death. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. The husband is rotting from an ulcer. The mother-in-law's corpse is just sitting in their house.
Right.
And yet they have this highly sophisticated, rhetorically polished, historically referenced PR statement ready to go.
Right.
How does that happen?
Well, it speaks directly to the mechanics of communal support in this era. The text notes that an older man, a neighbor, is standing beside her, actively speaking to the crowd on her behalf.
Ah, so he's the key.
Yes. It is highly probable that this neighbor, or another literate member of their immediate local network, served as a proxy scribe. The poor may have been illiterate, but they lived in a society deeply steeped in Confucian values and literary traditions. The scribe understands that simply crying on the street might elicit pity, but it might not be enough to open the purses of the wealthy merchants and scholars walking by. To compel the elite to act, you must speak their specific cultural language.
Oh, that is brilliant. So by putting these specific historical stories on the paper, the scribe is basically setting a trap for the educated elite walking past the Zhao compound.
A profound moral trap, yes. The wheat boat references Fan Zongyan, a famous Song Dynasty scholar official whose son famously gave away an entire boatload of valuable wheat to help an old family friend pay for a funeral.
Okay.
And the removing carriage horses refers to a story involving Confucius himself, who allowed a friend to sell off his carriage and horses to help someone in dire need.
They're effectively saying, you, the wealthy, educated men reading this, you revere Fan Zhongyan, you study Confucius. Well, here is your opportunity to enact that very same classical virtue in real life. If you ignore this woman, you are ignoring the very tenets of the philosophy you claim to uphold.
Exactly. It forces the passing elite to confront their own hypocrisy if they choose to walk away. And it is a highly effective strategy. The crowd is moved, the communal safety net is activating, people are reaching into their pockets and pulling out money to help her.
But then, the extreme fragility of that public trust is exposed.
Yes, very dramatically.
Out of nowhere, a guy in the crowd speaks up, and the text names him and gives him these awful descriptive nicknames. His surname is Chen. His given name is Shi Bu Zhu, which translates to never satisfied.
Great name.
Yeah. And his true nickname is Wai Shi Yu Yu, which means more than enough to ruin things.
A character whose sole narrative function is to embody the destructive power of cynicism in a high-stakes social situation.
He looks at the grieving woman, turns to the guy next to him who is about to donate, and says, hey man, don't believe this. Who knows if it's true or false? They're probably just doing business.
Doing business.
Meaning it's a scam. And the immediate effect of those words is just chilling. The guy who was reaching for his money stops. The wallet snaps shut. The empathy of the crowd completely evaporates in a second.
Instantly.
The text drops this incredibly profound observation right in the middle of the scene. It says, one word can build a nation, one word can ruin it.
It's a stunning psychological insight. It demonstrates how incredibly fragile crowdsourced charity truly is. When people are asked to part with their hard-earned resources for a complete stranger, they are taking a massive leap of faith.
Right. They have to trust the story.
They are choosing to trust the performance of grief. But the moment a single voice introduces the possibility of fraud, the possibility that they are being played for fools, the psychological barrier slams back down.
Because nobody wants to be the sucker.
Exactly.
It is so much easier to believe the cynic and keep your money than to believe the victim and risk being conned. The cynic basically offers the crowd a morally acceptable excuse to walk away. Like, I'm not stingy, I'm just savvy.
It is a dark, self-serving rationalization that destroys the social fabric. However, the text adds an entirely new layer of tragedy by explaining that the crowd isn't just being paranoid out of nowhere.
Right, they have a reason.
Their cynicism is deeply rooted in the history of the exact location they are standing in.
Yes. They are standing in front of the grand gates of Zhao the philanthropist. And the text stops and untacks a backstory that explains exactly why the crowd was so easily swayed by the idea of a scam. It turns out Zhao used to be the gold standard for this exact situation.
He really was.
If someone died in poverty in this neighborhood, Zhao would freely give them a coffin. He was the localized welfare system.
He absorbed the burden that the state ignored.
But then human nature ruined it. Scammers, the text calls them shameless scoundrels, realized they could exploit this localized welfare. They started faking deaths.
Unbelievable.
The guy would literally put on a white mourning robe, go to Zhao's gate, cry his eyes out, beg for a coffin. And Zhao, being trusting and adhering to his Confucian duty, would just give him one.
And we must consider the economic reality of a coffin here. A heavy wooden coffin is a massive material asset. In an ancient urban center, thick treated timber is incredibly expensive and highly sought after.
So the scammer would take this beautiful free coffin, drag it home, chop it into pieces, and sell it for scrap wood or firewood.
Wow.
They commodified the philanthropy. They turned a secret burial vessel into raw material for profit.
It's the ultimate perversion of charity, and the downstream effects of this exploitation are devastating to the community.
Because Zhao isn't stupid. He eventually figures out he is basically subsidizing a local scrap wood syndicate. So he institutes a strict bureaucratic policy. He says, I will not give out a coffin unless I personally see the dead body.
Right. He moves from a system of trust to a system of verification.
He bureaucratizes his empathy.
Exactly.
But think about the practical reality of that. For someone like Nuang Shi, she is a young woman. Her husband is paralyzed.
Yeah.
She physically cannot drag her mother-in-law's corpse out of her house, down the street, and dump it in front of Zhao's gates to prove she isn't running a scam.
It's practically impossible for her.
The institutional charity, the very safety net designed for her, has been completely paralyzed by bad actors.
It's a profound exploration of the breakdown of welfare systems when trust is violated. The scammers didn't just steal wood, they stole the future empathy of the philanthropists.
That's a great way to put it.
By forcing Zhao to demand physical proof of death, the scammers inadvertently created an insurmountable barrier to entry that the truly desperate simply cannot overcome.
It is incredibly tragic. The scammers ruin the system for everyone. And so, Liu Wangxi is forced to beg on the street right outside the gates of the paralyzed philanthropist, only to have her street-level plea ruined by a cynic who remembers the coffin scams.
She's trapped.
She is caught in an impossible trap of societal distrust.
Which is precisely why the intervention of our heroes, Lei Ming and Chen Liang, is so vital at this exact moment. Institutional charity has failed. Crowdsourced charity has failed.
The system is broken.
Right. The only mechanism left to correct this societal failure is the direct, unbureaucratic action of the Shia, the righteous martial artist.
They don't hesitate. They don't ask for proof of the corpse. Lei Ming pulls out a pouch with over 10 taels of silver. Chen Liang adds his own, bringing the total to roughly 40 taels. And they hand this massive fortune directly to the grieving woman.
Just like that.
They bypass the bureaucracy, they ignore the cynic, and they just solve the problem with overwhelming financial force.
And, 40 taels of silver in this economic context is not just coffin money. It is generational survival money. It is enough to bury the mother with dignity, hire a proper doctor for the husband, and buy food for months.
But their behavior during the donation is what really fascinated me. They hand her the silver and immediately issue orders. They tell her, take this, go home immediately, buy the coffin, and stop showing your face in public.
Very direct.
And when she frantically asks for their names so she can repay them or pray for them, Chen Liang forcefully shuts her down. He says, don't ask our names. We aren't from around here. Do not plan on repaying us. Just go home.
This aligns perfectly with the strict code of the Jianghu hero. True chivalry demands absolute anonymity. To give a name is to invite a debt, and the righteous outlaw seeks to balance the scales of justice, not to create a ledger of personal favors.
Right.
Furthermore, by ordering her to get off the street immediately, they are actively protecting her dignity. They understand that her public performance of grief is deeply humiliating and potentially dangerous.
So they solve the immediate social drama. The woman goes home in tears of relief. The cynical crowd disperses, probably feeling a bit ashamed of themselves.
Hopefully.
And our heroes. Having dropped 40 taels of silver like it's absolutely nothing, they casually stroll out of the street, find a tavern, and proceed to drink wine until the sun goes down. They literally just let the daylight hours bleed away.
It's a necessary transition point. They shifted the timeline, waiting for the cover of darkness to return to their primary objective, which is the Zhao family compound.
As the sun sets, the genre of the text fundamentally shifts. We move from a tense sociological street drama directly into an ancient espionage thriller.
Yes, the tone completely changes.
The heroes finish their drinks around the first watch of the night, so roughly 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. They pay their tab, leave the tavern, and find a secluded, unlit spot in the city to undergo a complete physical transformation.
Getting ready for work.
They are preparing to re-enter the Jianghu, transitioning from daytime observers to nighttime operators. And I really want to look closely at every single piece of equipment they put on because the level of tactical engineering here is just astounding.
The author provides a veritable treasure trove of detail for understanding the physical reality of ancient urban infiltration.
First, they take off their daytime street clothes, roll them tightly, and stash them in pouches at their waists. Then they put on soft-tied turbans and what the text calls three-forked multi-pocket vests.
Highly utilitarian.
A vest covered in pockets makes perfect sense to me. It allows for the distribution of weight and immediate access to tools without having to, dig through a single large bag, which would require gross motor movements and create unnecessary noise.
Exactly.
But it's the fasteners that really stop me in my tracks. The text specifies that their nighttime clothes are fastened with bone buttons. They didn't use brass, they didn't use iron, they used bone.
Consider the physics and acoustics of navigating a sleeping courtyard in a pre-industrial city.
Okay.
The ambient noise level at night is virtually zero. You are climbing stone walls, sliding over clay roof ridges, pressing your chest against tiles. If you wear metal buttons or clasps, the moment you brush against a stone wall, you produce a sharp, high-frequency metallic clink.
And in the dead of night, a clink means the Negua bodyguards wake up and you die.
Precisely. Metal resonates. Wood can splinter or crack loudly under pressure. Bone, however, is dense, durable, and acoustically dead. It absorbs kinetic impact without ringing. By specifically choosing bone buttons, they are meticulously engineering their outfits to eliminate any possibility of accidental high-frequency noise. They are prioritizing absolute silence above all else.
It totally reminds me of nighttime maritime navigators. Every tool is about sound mitigation and sensory feedback in the dark. They also use silk sashes, tied in double butterfly knots.
Which is a highly functional choice. A double butterfly knot is secure enough to hold the significant weight of their pouches and weapons, but it is designed to be untied instantly with a single smooth pull if the sash gets snagged on a roof tile or a branch during a pursuit.
Quick release.
Yes. You never want your own clothing to anchor you to the environment when you need to move quickly.
And their footwear. Soft-soled shoes with 1,000-layer bottoms, meaning layers of cloth stitched together tightly.
Again, sound mitigation and tactile feedback. Hard leather boots provide excellent protection, but they clatter loudly on stone. Soft soles allow the foot to physically conform to the shape of a curved roof tile, providing superior grip.
Like a ninja shoe.
Exactly. More importantly, the 1,000-layer cloth allows the infiltrator to literally feel the stability and texture of the surface through their feet before committing their full body weight to it.
So they aren't preparing for a battlefield where you need armor to deflect swords. They are preparing for vertical, urban infiltration where speed, grip, and silence are your only armor.
Right.
And their pockets are full of specialized gadgets. The text lists 1,000-mile fire, self-lighting lamps, and specialized lock-picking tools.
The 1,000-mile fire refers to early incendiary tools. Perhaps a tightly packed roll of chemically treated paper and a flint mechanism, allowing for instantaneous fire without the prolonged, noisy striking of raw flint and steel.
Very cool.
And the self-lighting lamps would be enclosed, low-light lanterns, likely equipped with a mechanical shutter to quickly block the light. They are tools designed to provide split-second illumination to inspect a log or a document without flooding the courtyard with light.
And finally, the weapons. They carry knives, but the text specifically notes that the blades are housed in soft leather sheaths with spring guards.
The soft leather sheath is another crucial acoustic detail. Drawing a steel blade from a rigid wooden or metal scabbard produces a very distinct metallic scraping sound. You know, the classic shing you hear in theatrical performances.
Right, which sounds cool in movies but gets you killed in real life.
Exactly. A soft, well-oiled leather sheath allows the blade to be drawn in complete, terrifying silence.
The meticulousness is just incredible. They stretch their shoulders, check their gear to ensure absolutely nothing rattles, and then they spring onto the rooftops.
Into their element.
They become shadows, leaping over the ridges of the houses, moving silently above the sleeping city, heading back toward the Zhao family compound to investigate the Naigua. But as they are traveling across these rooftops like ghosts, they pass over a humble little courtyard. They see a flickering light through a paper window, and they hear a snippet of conversation that stops them dead in their tracks. The narrative beautifully loops back to the consequences of their earlier actions.
Yes, they have literally stumbled upon the intimate aftermath of their own charity.
They hear a man's voice inside saying, "Wife, have you enshrined the two benefactors? Have you burned the incense?" And a woman replies, "Yeses, they are enshrined."
And Chen Liang recognizes the voice.
Instantly. It's Luo Wangxi, the grieving woman they gave the 40 taels of silver to earlier that day. So they crouch down on the roof, with their fingers to silently melt a small hole in the paper window and peer inside.
A classic Jiang espionage technique.
They see the reality of the family's suffering firsthand. The deceased mother-in-law is laid out on the floor. The husband is lying on the brick bed with this horrifying bowl-sized sore on his leg. But what really catches their attention is a newly erected shrine against the east wall.
A makeshift altar of immense spiritual significance.
There are 3 sticks of incense burning brightly, and a wooden tablet that reads, "Spiritual Tablet of the Two Benefactors." She has literally elevated Li Ming and Chen Liang to the status of minor deities or ancestral spirits.
Which sounds like a wonderful gesture.
Right, but Chen Liang's reaction to this is absolutely priceless. You have to picture this from his perspective. This is a guy who just spent an hour strapping on tactical gear, a guy who routinely leaps across rooftops in the dark, armed with razor-sharp knives, completely unfazed by the prospect of fighting a compound full of heavily armed bodyguards.
He's fearless.
But he looks through the hole, reads the thank you note on the shrine, grabs his partner, and whispers in absolute, genuine panic, "This is a disaster."
He genuinely believes they are in mortal peril. Not from physical weapons, but from gratitude.
I find this so deeply fascinating. These hardcore vigilantes are terrified because a nice lady wrote their anonymous title on a piece of wood and lit a candle.
Hmm.
What is the mechanism of this fear? Like, how does being worshipped actually threaten them?
It provides a phenomenal glimpse into the cosmology of ancient Chinese luck, karma, and cosmic balance. To understand Chen Liang's panic, we really have to explore the concept of zishou, which translates literally to folding or breaking one's longevity or blessings.
Folding longevity. Like, how does incense fold your life?
Well, in this cosmological belief system, the universe operates on a strict mathematical economy of spiritual energy and karmic merit. Every living mortal is allotted a certain amount of luck, blessings, or life force at birth.
Okay, kind of like a metaphysical bank account.
Yes, this is your mortal weight. Now, the act of worship, burning incense, bowing, praying, offering a spiritual tablet, generates immense, heavy spiritual energy. It is a powerful force designed to feed gods, immortals, or deceased ancestors who have shed their physical bodies and reside in the spiritual realm.
Right, because they can handle it.
Exactly. They have the infinite capacity to absorb that intense worship. A living, breathing, mortal human being simply does not.
It's like plugging a toaster directly into a high-voltage power line.
A very apt modern analogy. The mortal soul simply does not have the spiritual density to endure being treated like a god. The incoming energy from the incense and prayers overloads the system, and it begins to rapidly burn through the mortal's allotted luck and lifespan to balance the cosmic equation. That is zishou. The unearned worship literally drains your life force, causing extreme bad luck, sudden illness, or premature death.
So by trying to thank them, she is accidentally microwaving their karma.
Pretty much.
She is unwittingly cursing them with her profound gratitude. And the text doesn't just present this as some vague superstition. Chen Liang actually references a very specific historical legend to prove his point to Lai Ming.
Right.
He mentions a story from the Sui and Tang dynasties involving a famous hero named Qin Kong and the future Tang emperor Li Yuan.
It is the classic cautionary tale of zishou within martial arts literature.
According to Chen Liang, the hero Qin Kong saved Emperor Li Yuan's life during a battle at Lintang Mountain. The emperor, who was incredibly grateful, asked for his savior's name. Qin Kong, being a humble warrior, was already riding away and yelled over his shoulder, "I am Qin Kong."
But there's a mix-up.
Yes, the emperor misheard him. And the phonetic misunderstanding is the crux of the tragedy. The emperor went home, built a massive shrine, and began worshipping a fictional deity he called King the Five Great Generals. He devoted massive imperial resources, burning endless incense, offering grand sacrifices, to worshipping a name that actually belonged to a living mortal.
And the consequences for the mortal were catastrophic.
Exactly. According to the legend Chen Liang cites, this massive influx of divine worship drained Qin King's mortal luck so severely that the greatest warrior of the age ended up stranded in a city called Luzhu.
Completely ruined.
He was destitute, severely ill, and forced to sell his prized weapons and his beloved warhorse just to survive. An emperor worshipped him too hard, and it totally ruined his life.
Don't thank me, you'll kill me. It really is a profound theological dilemma.
And Lai Ming, ever the pragmatist, looks at the shrine through the hole in the roof and offers a physical solution to a metaphysical problem. He says, look, I'll just hop down there, sneak in, and steal the tablet. Problem solved.
Easy fix.
But Chen Liang points out the fatal flaw in that logic. If you steal it tonight, she will just buy a new piece of wood and write another one tomorrow.
It highlights the inescapable nature of their dilemma. You cannot simply outrun pure, determined gratitude. By intervening in her life so dramatically with that silver, they have inextricably bound themselves to her karmic cycle.
No.
They cannot undo the emotional weight of their charity by simply stealing the physical evidence of it.
They are totally trapped by their own good deed. And while they are having this whispered, panicked debate on the roof about cosmic energy and folding longevity, the real physical threat, the immediate material consequence of their charity, finally arrives.
The story snaps back.
Yes, the narrative snaps back from theological anxiety to a harsh urban reality. The heroes are crouched on the roof, and suddenly they hear a faint sound. Dirt falls from the top of the courtyard wall below them.
Someone's there.
They immediately freeze, press their bodies flat against the acoustic dampening tiles, and watch. Slowly, silently, a wooden pole with crossbars rises from the dark street outside, hooks onto the top of the courtyard wall, and a man climbs up into the night.
The text identifies this specific climbing tool as a centipede ladder.
A A centipede ladder. It is such an evocative name. It is basically a single thick bamboo or cedar pole with small wooden rungs lashed across it at intervals, right?
Yes. And the physics of the centipede ladder are fascinating. Unlike a standard two-rail ladder, which is stable but bulky, a single-pole ladder is highly portable and easily hidden alongside a wall or in a narrow alleyway.
Perfect for a thief.
Exactly. However, it requires incredible core strength and balance to ascend. The climber must distribute their weight perfectly on either side of the central pole to prevent it from twisting away from the wall. It is the signature tool of the highly skilled midnight urban burglar.
And the text gives us the full dossier on this thief. His name is Qian Xinsheng. He is a local from the neighborhood, and his backstory is a masterclass in establishing a despised character.
Oh, he's the worst.
He inherited a substantial estate from his parents, but he squandered every single penny on eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling. He ruined his family so thoroughly that his wife was forced to go out and work as a menial servant just to survive, while he sits at home doing absolutely nothing.
He represents the absolute dregs of the local social hierarchy, a parasite who consumes without producing, entirely devoid of filial piety or marital responsibility. He is the antithesis of Confucian virtue.
And his motive for being here tonight is the most sickening part. During the day, he was lurking in the crowd outside the Zhao compound. He watched our heroes hand Lu Wangxi that massive bag of 40 taels of silver.
He saw the whole thing.
He knows it is funeral money. He knows she has a dead mother-in-law and a paralyzed husband, and his immediate thought was, I'm going to steal that.
This creates a fascinating moral juxtaposition within the narrative, and it is a point we really must examine closely regarding the philosophy of this world.
I want to dig into this because functionally, legally, everyone here is breaking the law. We have our heroes, Lei Ming and Chen Liang. They are currently dressed in head-to-toe black tactical gear, carrying lockpicks and concealed knives, trespassing on a roof in the middle of the night, preparing to infiltrate a private compound.
Right.
And they are looking down at another guy who is also dressed for the night, using a ladder to sneak into a house. To the city magistrate, they are all criminals. But the text treats them entirely differently. What is the dividing line in this universe between a righteous outlaw and a petty thief? Why is one celebrated and the other despised?
The dividing line is the foundational concept of Xia, which translates roughly to chivalry, righteousness, or martial virtue.
Okay, Xi.
The heroes, Lei Ming and Chen Liang, are outlaws, yes. They break the laws of the emperor, but they strictly adhere to the laws of Xia. In the Jianghu, morality is defined by the redistribution of justice when the official system fails.
Like Robin Hood.
Exactly. They intervene to protect the weak. They take wealth from the corrupt, like hoarding officials or cruel landlords, and give it to the desperate. They have a strict moral compass that supersedes the legal compass.
They are violent, but they are principled.
Qian Xinsheng, on the other hand, is defined by the text as a maoze, a petty, hairy thief.
Hairy thief.
Yes, meaning insignificant and low. He has no code. He is driven entirely by base vices and immediate gratification. The ultimate proof of his profound moral bankruptcy is his target. He is willing to steal charity money from a starving woman with an unburied corpse in her living room.
It's just despicable.
To the heroes, this isn't just a property crime. It is a profound violation of the natural order and an insult to the very concept of humanity. Stealing from a corrupt official is a moral imperative. Stealing from a grieving widow is a cosmic crime that requires immediate violent correction.
It is the lowest of the low. So they watch him operate from the roof. And Qian is methodical. He uses the centipede ladder to drop silently into the courtyard. He takes out a small knife, sneaks up to the main door, and begins to pick the wooden lock mechanism.
And he knows what he's doing.
The text notes he picks it once, listens, picks it again, listens. 3 clicks and the door is open. He has technical skill. He sneaks into the pitch-black room where the family is sleeping, and he doesn't fumble around looking for a chest or a safe. The text explicitly notes that there are no chests or cabinets in the house anyway. Qian knows exactly where desperately poor people hide their most precious valuables.
He deeply understands the sociology of poverty. He knows they lack secure furniture.
He goes straight to the brick bed, slides his hand under the woven sleeping mat, and immediately finds the heavy bag of silver. He grabs it, slips back out the door, scales the wall, and pulls his centipede ladder up behind him.
A clean getaway.
From his perspective, he just pulled off a flawless, victimless crime because the victim slept through it. But he doesn't know he's being watched by 2 apex predators on the roof. And the description of Chen Liang's reaction here is the emotional climax of the scene. The text says Chen Lang's anger surged upwards.
The phrasing implies a physical, almost uncontrollable reaction to profound injustice. It is a visceral response to the perversion of his own good deed.
Think about the psychology here. Chen Liang and Lai Ming gave that silver to save a family's dignity. They tried to be pure, anonymous benefactors. But instead, their massive public donation just painted a giant target on a defenseless woman's back.
Right.
The thief is perverting their life-saving charity into a crime. Qian is not just stealing from Lu Wangxi. He is stealing the karmic efficacy of the hero's good deed. He is turning their Xia into a vulnerability for the innocent.
The rage of seeing their intervention exploited pushes Chen Liang over the edge. The Jianghu Code demands a response. You cannot simply watch the weak be preyed upon when you have the power to stop it, especially when your actions created the danger in the first place.
All thoughts of the Zhao family compound, all thoughts of the Negua and their original espionage mission simply vanish. The universe has presented him with an intolerable wrong that must be righted.
He has to act.
He turns to Lai Ming, whispers, "Wait here, don't move, I'm going to hunt him down." He draws his blade from that silent, soft leather sheath, vaults over the roof ridge, and plunges into the night, hunting the thief through the dark alleys.